Okay, I think it's about time I put some strings on this just to see we're actually on track. I've got 4 strings on. It's holding. Keep your fingers crossed. So let's get going. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of my Use What You've Got Challenge Guitar 2020. Now then, I used to work in software development and we used a development approach called Scrum. Now the reason I'm telling you this is that part of Scrum is that you take a project and you take slices of it and you build a slice of the project from end to end, from start to finish. So you're testing that portion of the system end to end. And I think with this guitar, I've got to that point where I need to do that. Because there's a few issues here that people have raised in comments and they're very valid. One is I've not put a truss rod in the neck. So what's going to happen when I string it up? Is the whole lot going to go... You just don't know. The other thing is about the bridge. It's worrying folk, and I understand why it's worrying folk. It's worrying me. There's a couple of aspects of that. One is, will the aluminium plate be enough to support that bridge? And the second thing is, will these screw heads work as string guides? And I do understand one of the comments there that you can cause rattle by going through the slots on there, and I need to get round that problem. So what I'm going to do in this episode is I'm going to get to the point where I can string the guitar up. So I'm not going to worry about sanding anymore at the moment or doing any more of the decoration or inlays or whatever like that. I'm just going to string the whole lot up and we'll see what happens. So it's going to be an exciting video. The thing that worries me most is the slots on the screw heads, because I completely understand that if you put a narrow string through a wider slot, you're going to get a buzz. It's going to sound a bit like a sitar. And I've been trying to think how I can tackle this. And last night, just before I packed in, I glued a bit of metal into the slot. I've actually drilled a hole into the screw and I've banged this piece of metal, which I've taken from an old radiator bracket. You hang your radiator on the wall with it, and it's quite hard metal. And the idea is that it will go across the slot and give quite a sharp blade for the string to go over. So I'm just going to cut this and file it down. Let's have a look at it. I've used a couple of bolts just to protect the thread, and what I want to do, I just want to cut that level with the top of the screw head there, the bolt head. Okay, I hope you can see this okay. So the screw head has this long slot and then this small cross slot. So what I've done, I've filed out that wide slot with this circular file going across there to give plenty of room. And then I've drilled a 2mm hole into the middle, and into that push this slice of metal. Now the idea is then what I will do there, say for the top E string, I'll just cut a very tiny slot in the middle of that central piece of metal. And my hope is that this is out of the way, so this won't touch the strings, but the string will just be held at that point there. Right. I'm struggling to see that with my glasses on here. I'll get a magnifying glass. You can probably see that better than I can. Obviously the downside of this now is I can't really screw this in with a screwdriver, so I'm going to have to wind it in with my fingers. There we are, that's gone in. But for the sake of adjusting the guitar, I'm sure I can come up with another way of doing that. Might have to be with a pair of pliers or something like that. It may be an idea for me just to square off two sides there, then I can get a little spanner on that. That might be the best idea. I've almost convinced myself to do that, but let's just stick with this a minute. The next step is to reassemble the machine heads. These are from an old guitar. I took them apart and I've been soaking them in oil. I need to clean them up a little bit, so I'm going to get on and do that. What I would say is don't throw your tuner tins away, because they come in really handy for little pots to hold screws and anything in. Varnish, you name it. Great thing. Tuner tins. Right, I think these could be a little bit whiter, so I'm going to try a trick with these. I'm going to suspend these in a bath of bleach. Let's see what happens. Ooh. Not sure if this is what you're supposed to do. Okay. Could all go very wrong. Let's see what happens. I'm going to use this pre-cut nut that I've got had lying around. It's rather a strange colour actually, but it sort of goes with the colours of this guitar, to be honest with you. So what I want to do is cut a slot there. So if I mark just behind it, I think I need a new blade for my pull saw. I've got a few teeth missing on that. It's a lovely saw though. While I'm waiting for the machine heads to bleach and various bits of glue to dry, thought I'd have a look at the preamp that I'm going to use for this guitar. Now then, my idea is that I'm going to use this metal bracket, which is a fence bracket which I've bent and cut slightly narrower, to hold the preamp and the battery, because you've got to be able to change the battery obviously. So the idea is that we put the jack socket in the end there, just screw that in. So if I do that so you can see what I'm doing. So that's going to be screwed in there, and sitting behind that will be the preamp, probably on a couple of these pads to stop it shorting out. And then my idea is to put the battery on the end there. Now what I'm going to have to do is mount a piece of wood on there. I think that's probably the better way of doing it, and then I can probably screw this down easier. Okay, so this is the bottom of the guitar, and the idea is that this will slide into there, just like that. So I just need to know where to position it on this. This is the leaf plate that's going to go on the back. That's just about where it's going to fit. So I've marked that with a pencil. I think I need a ruler now. So let's see if I can get the position of this hole. So centre it on the widest point, which is 40, and it's okay, so it's 18 and Center it across there. I don't want to let it go because I'm going to drop it into the body of the guitar if I'm not careful. So from there to there. So it's 30 mil in. Now normally I'd go for crosshead screws, but I think I've got some nice brass slotted screws here, which may go better if I can find something. After all that, I found 2 screws, but one's sort of chrome colour or aluminium, the other one is brass. So I'm just going to go with one of each. Well, use what you've got, eh? Okay. Not sure whether to embed that in or not yet. Think about that. I'm going to hot melt glue this board onto the wood here because I think that's probably the easiest way, and also the battery box. Now then, I'm going to get this all hooked up, so if I can tin those connectors. I'm not going to put a volume control or anything like that. This is really simple. It's a question of plugging it in and you've got some sound. Okay, so here I've got the circuit. Now then, so the earth of the battery, the negative of the battery, connects to one of the stereo inputs, one of the live stereo inputs. And so when the jack plug goes in, that will connect it to the actual ground, which is this one here. The signal is fed into the signal output of the stereo jack there, which would effectively be the same as a mono jack. So all I need to do now is to feed the piezo pickup into the input there for the acoustic input. And basically with this amp, there's 2 stages to this amplifier, and I've actually just routed them together. This yellow wire connects the output from the acoustic section straight into the input of what I normally call the electric section, but basically it's just a 2-stage amplifier, so it should give the piezo pickup a really good boost. That's the theory anyway. Okay, so I've cleaned the machine heads and the bleach worked to treat. They've come up really nice. My fingers are filthy, so I'm going to wipe those. Right, all I've got to do now is work out how to put the thing together. Okay, so, right, screwdriver. So I believe that goes through there, clips on the end. I'm not quite sure which way round that goes. Okay, it's going to go into there. Okay, I think I need to put those in there first. I'm going to have to cut this little corner off here because it's just sticking a bit proud of the headstock that I've done, so just going to round it off just using the Dremel and a cutting disc. The moment of truth. I've got a top E string. I'm going to test this bridge. So let's pull it across there. Pull it across there. Hopefully that'll just reach to the top here. Just put these plastic inserts on the machine heads in loose at the moment. I will sort them out once I've sorted the headstock out. Oops. In the meantime, I just need to get this string on. Tuning pipe out. No buzz. I'm going to have to raise the action on this, but there's no buzz on that. That's just providing that sort of knife edge point. And it sounds lovely. So what I need to do now is go along and create the same sort of thing for all of these smaller strings. Now what I'm not sure of is if when I get to the wider strings, the E particularly, I think I might get away with just using the slot that's there, and I'll demonstrate that with an old string I've got. I'm being a bit of a cheapskate here because I've got a new set of strings, although I've only got one set left and I need to order some more. But just to test this, I'm just going to put this old string in, which unfortunately is not long enough to go to the machine head at the other end. But I think on that, that would be wide enough. Now, I'll simulate this by grabbing it with a pair of pliers and pulling it over the end of the nut there. Now, I don't think that's going to give me a problem. Let's see if I can just pull that a bit tighter. It's interesting. It may well be catching on there. So do you know what? I think I'm going to do the same thing as I've done on this top E string. I'm going to put a piece of metal across on all of these so that I know there is that sort of sharp edge for the string to rest on. To make life a little easier, I've banged this nut into this scrap wood here so that I can screw the bolt in, maybe like that, and it'll hold it secure while I file it. Now for the blade in the middle of the bolt head, I'm going to use this metal from this bracket. This is a central heating radiator bracket, and that's quite a nice edge there. So I'm just going to cut some thin slices down there and use that to put in the head. Okay, what I need to do is file this down so it'll go across that slot there and go down into that 2mm hole that I drilled, and it needs to be fairly tight, obviously. I then put some super glue in just to seal it completely. I've squared off the sides of these bolt heads, so I'm hoping that I can get a spanner. Look at that, it's a 7, and that will fit those perfectly. I'm going to need to fit this string restraint that actually came from the same guitar that the machine heads came from, and so I've just measured it with a ruler, and it looks like that looks about the right position. So 3mm hole straight down. Might need a larger hole because it's not quite square. Let's go for 3.5. Looks like it's better. Bend it a bit. There we go. That'll do for the time being anyway. I've got 4 strings on. It's hold in, keep your fingers crossed. Oops. Need to tighten that one up a little bit more. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's see if I can tune this. Okay folks, well I've tuned it up, so let's see. Well, I'll be honest with you, it hasn't got the tone of an acoustic. You can certainly hear it. I mean, it's certainly louder than an electric. You get a rather strange effect when you touch the bridge. It's almost like a wah-wah. So that's interesting. You also get quite a nice sound here. Now, I mean, I haven't done any setup on this, and I'm not going to do that until we've done all the decoration and done the varnishing. So it's quite interesting. It'll be interesting to hear what the piezo pickup sounds like underneath the bridge there. But it looks okay. Even with this quite high action, it's quite nice to play. The neck seems to be okay at the moment. I'm going to leave the strings on, so we'll see over the next few days what happens to the neck. It's looking reasonable at the moment. If anything, there might be a tiny bit of back bow in there. Yes, there is on that side. So that's interesting. I think I'm going to call this video a finish, to be honest with you. Yeah, the bridge seems to be working. I'm getting a bit of a buzz on the B, very slightly, so I may need to adjust that one there. But these bolt heads with the cross piece seem to be working okay. All exciting stuff. Wow. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like this sort of content, please don't forget to hit subscribe. Please go and have a look at all the other builders in the Use What You've Got Guitar Challenge 2020. I'm going to be back soon with another video, but in the meantime, keep safe, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.